start.
I'm Dean.
I'm RW. We're back with you,
Episode 2.
episode 2, doing more conversational studies. And that's literally what we do a lot of the times, going down the road.
We're not in the usual studio, or garage, I should say.
No, we're actually recycling
Oil.
on a well.
So, do
But
what you can with what you have.
But I was like, Dean, we need to do an episode on modern education.
Yeah.
And what's a Williams County Dakotan? Well, what county are you from?
Burke County.
Yeah, what does the Burke and Williams County Dakotan boys think about
Education.
education?
Yeah. We are both homeschooled. I guess
Home-teached.
home taught. Yeah. Dub, he went to school, public school for a couple of years.
Tell me, okay, so are you proud of that you were homeschooled?
Yeah, I actually am. When I was younger, I actually wanted to, at some points, go to like a public school, because at first I was like, man, it'd be kind of fun to be in a public school. You know, like you see some of the movies in high school where it's like kind of like cool, you know, in school and stuff like that. And then I heard some stories, and like, yes, I'm not saying that all high schools are trash and stuff like that, but I think
There's a good amount. It's not a bad thing to say that most of them are bad.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. Yeah.
And I would like to profound on that more.
Yeah.
And say that it's not necessarily the place. It's just like
It's the people.
Yeah, it's just the people. Like, we hear of people all around these communities, and there's just drugs.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah, no, and I agree. At first I loved it. Number one, freedom. You have a lot of freedom when you're homeschooling and stuff. You know, and I'm not saying freedom as in like, oh, I can just get out of school,
right?
You know, and stuff like that. You have freedom as
stuff.
in like, you know what? Maybe this morning I got something to do. Maybe we gotta go combining this morning, or something like that. And then you can go in the morning and come back and do your school later in the day, or your hours are so flexible and you can do it anywhere. I could be doing, if I was still in school right now and I hadn't graduated, I'd probably be doing school right now. You know.
So, if someone was going to be, if they're thinking about putting their children in public school, but you're over here saying you want to put your children in home education, or you're going to educate them at home, why? Why are you going to put your children, Dean, in home education with you and your wife? Why are you going to do that? Why aren't you going to put them into the public school system? Because why aren't you going to do that?
Number one, when you bring your kids to a public school, they're going to teach them. When they get home,
the classic debate.
They're going to get the influence of those teachers. Man, if you don't really like those teachers, you don't know what happens in that school. A lot of times parents don't know what happens. Not saying parents don't care, but some parents don't care really, and a lot of parents don't know what happens behind those school doors and everything like that.
They remember. Well, I would say that they remember what they went through, and they're
hoping that maybe their kids going through the same thing, because a lot of schools in the 60s, 70s and stuff like that, I think, well, not that bad. My father tells me about like schools and stuff like that when he was a kid. Sounds like a swell time.
At least out here on the prairie, I'm sure. Yeah, like these smaller schools back then were probably a lot better.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing for me is you're teaching your kids what you want them to learn. And now that's between, you and your wife, teaching your kids and stuff like that. But I mean, most of the time you're a Christian, conservative and stuff like that. You're going to teach them good values, and by the time that they reach that age where, they're going to be influenced by others, there's an age where you can't influence them anymore. They're going to do what they want, 12, 14 and stuff like that. They're going to start just kind of be like, I do what I want.
I'm going to expound on that and say that, to me, it is the most idiotic idea to send your kids to a public school or to a public. It is, to me, it is a dumb idea. Now, I'm going to say that there is always, my wife and I have talked about this though, there's always those parents or
Yep.
mom and dad who cannot, they have to work,
Yeah.
and
It just doesn't
they
move.
need to send them to either daycare or, you know, school helps them be able to work. And then, so I understand that situation. That's an understandable situation.
Yeah.
But as best as ma and pa's can do, they should, as best they can,
Yeah.
most of the time, bring home educate them. And I'll tell you what, somebody told, here's a good analogy. My sister said this: a homeschooled child or teenager can talk to the older generation like nothing.
Oh,
But
yep.
they cannot talk as well with people their age.
Yeah, I definitely.
And then
agree.
for the public school child or teenager, they can talk to their own age really well, but they cannot talk to the maybe 30 and older very well,
no, and
because they're distanced from the working class and from the actual world of work and physical knowledge. And that's what I think you're going to get from home education, is you're going to get the real world thinking. Now that sounds bad for some people who are listening to this. They're going to be like, what like, why would I want my child to grow up quick and they're just going to grow up and learn the ways of things? Baloney. That's not the case.
Yeah.
Because that's just not the case.
Yeah.
Because we went through it, and now many kids we know now are like that. It is not where you're growing them up quick. They're just smarter. They're intelligent. Their characters come out better when they're home educated.
Yeah.
The characters of a child. Hey, Mom, I'm really interested in like woodcut or just anything.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
I really like learning about my brother. He was into welding.
Yeah.
He loved welding. I love welding. And as a young kid, he got to weld all day long. He loves studying businesses. And what do you have to say about that, Dee?
Yeah. No, I agree. Let me ask you one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What is a stereotype that people say about homeschoolers that you found it was like totally not true to your case?
Well, the stereotype things are your children are sheltered.
Okay, so embark on that.
Well, yeah, I should rebut it and say that they
Do you really want
are.
your kids?
So were we sheltered?
Yeah.
So that's the question. Were we sheltered?
Yeah.
I look back
you go
and I'm
first.
so thankful that I was at home. I was with Dad. I was with Dad all the time, and I think there's this public image too. But I remember when I was like 10, we'd be going out to work in the oil field, and we would go into the gas stations because and here'd be this 10-year-old boy and a 13-year-old boy, and we'd get so much work done. And they'd ask you, well, why are you in school? My dad would say, oh, today we're learning how to put in a dump valve. Did you ever learn how to put in a dump valve in school?
Yeah.
And they'd always respond, no, I never did learn that.
Never did learn that.
And but by the way, I will say, we sound like we're uneducated. I would say that homeschoolers are some of the most educated people. I'm going to brag on myself for a minute.
Yeah.
People look at me and they go, oh, you're just. I would say I have my mom gave me one of the greatest educations. I was learning Latin.
Yeah.
Who's learning Latin?
I don't
these
know.
days?
I guess you are.
I'm learning Latin. It sounds like they're so uneducated, but I would say that homeschoolers get the greatest education in the world.
Yeah.
You can learn whatever they want to learn. If they want to learn Spanish, great. But if you go to school, it's like there's only what they can offer you.
Yeah.
So what about you? Were you sheltered? Did you not get a good education? What do you think?
I was sheltered to a point. I was
What is sheltered? What do you mean?
I guess what is sheltered? Everyone's different, I think in my version of sheltering, I didn't have an iPhone until I was, I don't know, like like 16 maybe or something like that, maybe a little younger, and that was mainly just because we're on the farm too, and stuff. And we didn't have video games. You know, we wouldn't play video games, and I was proud of that. I didn't.
And that's really good.
Yeah, because I wasn't like, hey, oh, let's play the Xbox and this, that, whatever. And like, I'm not. There are some kids out there that do, you know, play games, whatever, like that, and that's your choice. If you want to do that, great, just go for it. But I think I was glad that I didn't, because I know kids. I'm not saying everyone's like this, but I know kids that play video games. And they just, that's all they do, is they play video games. And they don't have a second life. They don't, when someone's like, hey.
You feel horrible when you play games all day.
It's a dopamine hit.
Oh.
It's like a dopamine hit. And then, I mean, after you get done, you're just kind of like.
You get done playing, it just does absolutely nothing for you.
Yeah. It's not,
like you wouldn't hung out with your friends and they wanted to.
Yeah.
They want to do video games, and what the point of that was is one of the guys who said, "Man, it's already 3 p.m."
Yeah, yeah.
And you're like, "Oh, it's already 3 p.m." You just feel horrible. I
was like, "What am I doing?"
You're like, "What did I do with life?
Yeah.
What did that do for me? It didn't make me any money."
Yeah. And I think another thing from another thing was we didn't really have a curfew. At least my family didn't. It was, you know, us 4 boys, and Mom said, hey, you know, you don't have a curfew, but just make sure you let me know if you're staying over somewhere or something like that at a friend's place. She trusted us boys, and she said, hey, you know, wherever you are, just let me know where you're at. It's simple to do. And you know what? We never wanted to rebel against our mother curfew-wise and stuff like that. We were never like, I'm going to sneak out and stuff. Mm-hmm. We were always just kind of like, Mom trusts us, and you know what? We respect that, and we're not gonna cause trouble. We went and played Infection and Tag, and sometimes we would go light fires in the woods and just have a good time with friends and stuff. We were never like, let's sneak down to the boat docks and go drinking, you know?
Being homeschooled reminds me, it's like there was a friend of mine told me about farm oil field boy my age. Mm-hmm. He told me about how there was this kid, gamer. He said that he was at their apartment hanging out. Mm-hmm. And he grew up in the city, public school, all this stuff. And the guy goes, I believe this is a direct correlation of being raised in this. When you're home taught, you just learn things. You're just gonna learn things because you're like working and you're in life. The same with your family. And so with that in mind, this kid, he grew up homeschooled, gamer. Then there's this other kid, gamer. He went over to his house and he's just hanging out with his friends, and he was there, and he, for whatever reason, he goes, yeah, I can't go anywhere. He's like, and then my friend was like, well, you got a car right outside down the parking lot. And he's like, oh, I can't. The tire's flat. Yeah. I got a flat tire, so
I can't go anywhere.
And my friend's like, well, I can teach you how to change it can do, you know, I'll show you how. So he goes down and shows them how to change a flat tire.
Yeah. That's
like
pretty
basic.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you know what, and I'm not distant, some people don't know how to do that stuff because they never had a father figure and stuff to teach them that too. There's that too. But yeah, definitely that, and homeschool kids, and I'm not saying just homeschool kids, there's public school kids too, whatever, but I see a lot more homeschool kids who are a lot more humble. And, you know, being humble is really good. You know, you're not...
I mean they're humble?
Humble as in, like, they don't put themselves out there pride-wise. They're not like, oh, I'm really good at this. I'm really good at that, and stuff like that. Yeah. Well, I see some kids trying to prove themselves based on their accomplishments that are not really accomplishments, you know what I mean? They're like, yeah, you go. You have.
So I got this. This is literally.
Yeah.
I use this quote and I memorized it because we agree with Albert Einstein. This is Albert Einstein's quote, and I love this because I with this one quote, I can destroy academics. Because not everyone is going to be a doctor or a physician or a lawyer or something you could really get an education in.
Yeah.
We're not against college or anything. It's just not everyone isn't destined.
Yeah. I think a lot of kids nowadays feel like they have to go to college to be something.
Right.
Oh, God, I'm gonna go to college here for what?
My father.
Liberal arts?
My father-in-law said that my father-in-law said that his teacher said that he wasn't doing too good, as teenagers would do, or something. He wasn't like, you could look at a kid and be like, oh, you're gonna be nothing.
Yeah.
He said that his teacher said you're gonna be poor, or you won't amount to anything.
Yeah.
He said that to him just right out.
That's
you're
crazy.
gonna be poor, and you're gonna be a nobody, and you're probably not gonna be very wealthy. And now he's a big business owner.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm like, and he's doing good.
You can go to college if you want for anything that you want, but you have to have the mindset that you want to be successful.
You want to do it.
If you
want to
some
do
of
it,
these
then you should
big
do it.
guys like Elon Musk, Bezos, and stuff like that. Some of those guys didn't go to college. Some of them didn't even go to high school all the way. And look at them. You know what I mean? It's not the schooling; it's the person. You have to have a successful mindset where you're like, oh, I failed. So, get your bags, pick it back up again, keep going.
So I think we're trying to make the argument that we're not like, anti-education, but in a way, I guess we kind of are. In one way.
In one way.
In one way, we're like, okay, if you want to be a petroleum engineer, you want to do that, then
you
go
need
to
to
school.
you need to go to school.
And that's a tool that you should do. Now, there's also the moral side of this whole situation, because so many kids are just going, oh, I want to go be, I want to do this. And you're like, okay, great. And they come back a wokey.
Yeah, they come back with a head
They're
shaved and they're
idiots.
gay.
Yeah,
I'm like,
they're
what?
gay.
What?
And you're like...
And I think my theory is, you need, if you're going to go to college and you're a Christian, if you're a parent and your son is going to college and he's a Christian guy and a good kid, or your daughter, they need to have steadfast beliefs. They need to be very sturdy in their beliefs. I love God. I love the Constitution. I love that I'm a man.
You gotta be rock solid.
And then you can go into college, because there's going to be hits. There's going to be arrows hitting you all the time. And you know what? If you aren't...
Because these universities are a big problem today.
Yeah.
They really are.
If you're not, I guess, if you're not going in there with a strong mindset and being like, you know what? These professors are going to say gay this, gay that, whatever, or whatever they're going to say. You have to be like, you know what? I'll hear it, but I'm not going to let that affect me. I'm gonna stand my ground, and when someone says, oh, you're racist? Oh, you're homophobic?
Right,
I am homophobic. Yeah, I'm homophobic.
Biblically, we are. It is not right, but we're not going to just come on someone. But
and
that's another episode, I guess.
That's another episode in itself. But I think that's a big one. Is you kids? I'm not saying this is the parents' fault totally, but they're not strong enough to go to college.
Yep.
And to come back
a better man or woman.
And you know what? And neither would I. If I went to public school when I was younger and stuff like that, probably would have picked up a lot of bad things and stuff like that. But now, I think I could go to college just fine. I'm sturdy enough in my beliefs and everything like that I wouldn't have a problem.
Right.
I have no desire to go to college.
No, me neither.
But you said something. You want to say?
So based on this, if we were going to give advice, if anyone was ever going to listen to us,
those 6 subscribers,
the 6 subscribers listening to this video right now, if we were going to tell those 6 subscribers anything, and to the whole world, it's not about, don't go to school just because your mom and dad want you to, or what we're saying is pick what you like. If you like welding and you want to make money off of that and base your life on that, study welding. And you don't have to get that education from a public school. There's so many places in the world you can get education from books online. I've poured so much money into my own education. If you want to build cabinets, study how to build cabinets. If you want to know more about the law and a lawyer, and you don't want to go to college, study. A wise man once said, and this is what really got me. This quote has really pushed me towards when I read this quote, I realized I didn't have to go to school.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't be ashamed. They said this: a man or woman's education is never completed until they die.
Yeah. You're always learning.
You always should be learning. A man or woman's education is never completed until they die. So meaning that every day I can wake up and learn whatever I want.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know I'm going long here, but I'm going to read this quote.
Yep, read it.
Albert Einstein said this, and he's teaching us that focus on what you want to know and learn it every day. Like, make your own curriculums. If you want to study for an hour to 4 hours, you have to be disciplined enough to learn it and focus in on it. And here's what he said. Albert Einstein said, quote, "School failed me, and I failed the school. It bored me. The teachers behaved like sergeants. I wanted to learn what I wanted to know." That's the key to this whole quote. I wanted to learn what I wanted to know. But they only wanted me to learn for the exam. What I hated most was the competitive system there, and especially sports. Because of this, I wasn't worth anything. Several times they suggested I leave.
Yeah.
This was a Catholic school in Munich. I felt that my thirst for knowledge was being strangled by my teachers. He had a thirst for, I want to learn.
Yeah.
But it's like he felt like he was just being confined in this. He said,
Keep reading. I'm just going to check.
I felt that my thirst for knowledge was being strangled by my teachers. Grades were their only measurement. How can a teacher understand youth with such a system? From the age of 12, I began to suspect authority and distrust teachers.
Yeah.
This is it, and I destroy lots of. Then we got the homeschool moms. That's another. I always bring up the homeschool moms. The homeschool moms, I've been debating with them all my life. They're like, "Oh, well, you should learn math and all this stuff." I'm like, I actually sometimes I'll see like kids, and they're like fighting with them. Oh, Mom, I don't want to learn. They should be learning, but they should be learning what they've been called to learn.
Yeah.
And they should be learning that hardcore.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that you just, I'm going to study for an hour. No, every day, work on what you got to work on, and then work on what you get to work on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to learn what I want to know.
Yeah.
So Einstein, from what I know, he was math and science. I think that was what he wanted to know. And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And he did.
He did it.
Yeah, I think going back real quick on to the homeschool part, younger homeschool part, a lot of people say, one time this one guy I knew, he's actually kind of my boss, he asked me, he's like, aren't homeschoolers kind of socially inept? Aren't they kind of a little dumb? Slightly retarded?
Some of them are.
I'm going to put slightly retarded in quotations because that's what I've heard. And I was like, well, I mean, everyone's going to be, both sides have socially inept people. Okay. Me personally, I've never had a problem interacting with people. I love, I've gone up on stages and talked before, people and stuff like that. And yes, you have to be, it's kind of like, I really don't want to do this, but you have to push yourself to do it, You just talk to people. It's good, it's good just to talk to people. And I know homeschoolers that they don't talk to people, and they kind of sitting back, and they're not socially not social people, and that's up to them, whatever. But I would say don't say that homeschoolers are socially inept when you have kids in public school that think they're dogs.
That's a good point.
It's like, but aren't homeschoolers socially inept? Timmy over there thinks he's a Rottweiler.
I'd rather have a homeschooler who's socially inept than all the video gamers. I would say 80% of kids in school are they're playing video games and just doing nothing, whereas a homeschooler is home teacher, educator. They're out there, they're independent.
Yeah.
I think that's why the modern education system doesn't like them.
No.
And there's a lot of reasons why they don't like them.
Yeah.
But the modern world hates independence.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
the mom says, "Hey, we'll take care of our own."
They don't like that because they see the mom and dad's values.
We'll take care of our own.
And they're like, "Oh no, oh no." So I think one thing too is,
tell them the story about your mom.
Oh yeah, so my oldest brother, he was in school for a couple of years, and
so when they first did it, and we like to ask. I like to go around and ask these parents these moms and dads who had their children in school, And then I asked him, okay, so why did you switch from public school to homeschool?
Yeah.
This is a good story about it.
So my oldest brother, he was in school, I think, for only like 2 years or something like that. Well, he had really bad asthma, so he had to get constantly taken out and put back in and stuff like that. So mom was like, well, I'll just start teaching him from home because he, you know, if he has
He's
a
at home
flare
all
up,
the time.
then mom can take care of it there.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And the one, I don't know if it's a principal or a teacher, I don't know really who it was, but they got mad and they said, no, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
No, you can't do that. And they threatened
And
either
they
to call someone.
Yeah, they
or,
said we're gonna call the public school district.
yeah, and stuff like that. And I think back then it was a lot more touchy than it is now. Now
Yeah,
it's been a lot more
it's
free.
COVID and people
Yeah,
are joining.
and people are doing it all the time. It's kind of got trendy a little bit.
It's really true.
But for someone
back
to
in then,
threaten
yeah.
their child's mother saying, you can't teach them,
And they
we
also-
have to teach them.
They also said that they were
The
gonna be like
audacity.
dumb,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
His mom told me the story and said that they pretty much said, "Oh, your kids are gonna be dumb and idiots.
Yeah.
You're stupid." I don't know.
You
I just
can't-
get so riled
The
up.
audacity to say that is crazy. Because it's like, number one, you have no position to say that. Number two, it's like, if a kid in
I don't
school
want my
turns
kids
out
to end up like your citified.
people.
Yeah.
We're not like dissing public school kids. If you're public school and you're watching this, we're not dissing you. You can change. Okay, just
We are not, no, we're not. And we have lots of friends.
Yeah,
that are
we
in
have
public school.
problems,
We're
yeah.
just exemplifying on what we think is the best thing.
yeah. And I think
And
homeschooling for sure is, and I know homeschoolers and they have problems too. I know homeschoolers that are rebellious, and and stuff like that.
They
and
do.
in a kid, some of these kids in school, you can't blame the kid fully. A lot of it is the teachers too. And so if you see some homeschool kids that are just all messed up, you can't say homeschooling sucks. No, it's the parents too that didn't. And I'm not dissing the parents, and I'm not dissing 100% of the teachers, because I know there's good teachers out there too that are in public
There are.
schools. But I mean, I would rather be taught by
Here's
my
another-
two parents than 14 different teachers.
Here's another thing.
Yeah.
The Bible says, and it's directed at like the man or woman who's reading the Bible.
Yeah.
Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, and that's implying you.
Yeah.
Train up a child in the way he should go. That's implying you. You, Dean, have a responsibility to these children. You train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old. And that's why they don't like it, independence, because they don't want kids to be taught that.
No. Nope. Not
They
at all.
hate it's independence.
Yeah. No, that's good. We should probably.
Yep.
Should we
We should wrap this
here?
up.
Yeah. We'll
We
touch on
are
it more.
Dakotans, sons of the Republic.
Yeah.
The original Republic of North Dakota.
Yeah. This is episode 2. Hopefully, we'll have more coming out. If you liked
Yeah.
it, leave something in the comments. Even if it's not a good comment, leave it in the
Hey,
comments.
we loved your comments about your speech impediment.
It's an accent, but yeah.
It's an accent. It's
Yeah.
not a speech impediment. I accidentally let that slip.
I love it.
We just agreed with.
I
the
love the
comment.
comments, even if it's a bad
Oh
comment.
man, we
love
laugh
it.
and laugh and laugh. And no, it's really funny, and keep them coming, because I'm sure we'll have a lot more.
Yeah, if you want us to talk about something, leave it in the comments.
If you want
Seriously,
to talk, if you want
anything.
if you want us to talk about,
we love comments.
the Dean's speech accent. It's a North Dakotan accent.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what.
Wow, you can make people from like other countries, like Zimbabwe. Would you make fun of them? So that's the same thing. You're kind of making fun of. Okay, I see how it is.
I love it though. All right, signing out.
All right. Well, goodbye.